Hey girl, welcome to the Black Girl Voices podcast. I'm Shivaun,
And I'm Whitney.
and every week we get together to laugh, cry, shade, and share everything from pop culture to racism.
So grab your headphones and your oversized mug and come and join the conversation.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Hi, cuties.
I can't even pretend to be cheerful today.
I know, friend.
I truly just can't. I can't. And we'll dive into all of it, but holy shit.
I was going to say, let it all out, mama.
Yeah, let's start with you. How are you
Me?
doing? Because I have so much I mean, you probably do too. I feel like you're Black
We're
in America
laughing.
right now.
We're laughing not because it's funny.
It's not. It's
We're
truly
laughing to suppress the rage.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you?
Me, I'm personally, our lives are good. We don't, praise God, don't have anything to complain about personally. But that communal grief.
And if you guys don't know, because I'm not sure when this will air, so just for context, obviously on top of all of the tragedy that we've been hearing about and processing for I don't know, months now, with
Forever.
witnessing public genocide, and then hearing about the genocide in Congo, and then Sudan, and then all of this, yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. So March 11th. No, sorry, March 14th. The news about Ryan Gaynor became public. I mean, I'm not sure when the event actually took place, but I know
think it was
when
just a few days prior.
a few days prior. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Well, the
so.
news became public yesterday, and wow, this has been a heavy hitter for the community in general, but definitely for Black moms, I feel like.
Especially Black
Black
moms with
parents. I'll say
sons.
Black parents in general,
Yeah,
but
Black
because
parents in
we
general,
talk
but
about you know, Black women and femmes and girls on this platform, obviously I'm always going to highlight the motherhood aspect of it. So wow.
But yeah, I'm thinking of parents of neurodivergent kids. I'm thinking of parents with kids on the spectrum. I'm thinking of parents whose kids are autistic. He was in the middle of an episode, and rather than choose 15 years old, and the video that's going around about him, where he, I guess, was doing like an interview at one of his schools.
I saw.
I'm like, he's just the sweetest person. He was having an episode, a mental health crisis.
And for clarification, I know you know this, but I just feel like for people listening, it's worth noting that Black people don't have to be this sweet, kind,
We don't.
Amazing because I think I notice that a lot in the media, because the world dehumanizes us so much.
The perfect victim.
When it comes time to speak about the injustice of our murders, people go overboard with trying to, and not to say that Ryan Gaynor was not a super sweet kid, but I'm just saying people go overboard above and beyond trying to. They were an honor roll student. Well, I don't care if they made all F's; they still deserve to live.
They're humanity. Yeah,
they were never. They never got in trouble. I don't care if they did. They still deserve to live.
That part.
Yes,
that part.
They were so sweet. I don't care if she had he or she or they had a terrible attitude. They still
all the
deserve
time
to live.
Yeah, just like everybody else. Just like everyone else.
But watching that video, yeah, he did seem so sweet and kind-hearted and just
you know what it reminds me of? It's a constant reminder of how they view us, but specifically Black boys. That they treat us more like beasts to be put down rather than human beings to understand. I hate to do this, but the image is stuck in my head. There were multiple videos of white people. There's this one of a white woman going into a police station, literally firing in the middle of the police station, firing, like, shooting people, like, not shooting people, but shooting at people.
Yeah.
And they're all behind this protective glass, right? And they managed to arrest her, not kill her, but arrest her. This child was having an episode, and he charged an officer with a gardening tool. And all the alleged training that people say that they get, and all of the alleged, like, all of the funding that we put into this, and no one could think about using a taser. No one could think about using any type of non-lethal force. Like, I don't.
Or what is the point of training, I guess, is my question, because if
Mhm.
in training you didn't learn any other
Mhm.
de-escalation tactics, how
Mhm.
to um disarm somebody, and not, I don't mean disarm somebody with a gun, obviously that would be different, but like, you know what I mean, like bring
Mhm.
somebody down or put them in some kind of hold or something, because
Mhm.
that gardening tool
Mhm.
was not going to kill you.
No.
So why was that the thought? And I think we know the answer
We all
to
know the
why,
answer.
but it's still gonna, it's a question I'm forever gonna ask.
Mhm.
The reason as to why is because you don't see our humanness when you look at us.
No.
You see threats, you see thugs, you see
Mhm.
animals, you see a beast, you
Mhm.
see whatever it is that white supremacy told you
About us.
has tainted our
Mhm.
skin.
You don't even see our children as innocent. Like, I think of
They're not
Makai.
children.
No.
They're not.
No, I think of Micaiah Bryant,
Mm.
who was literally defending herself from people who were threatening to do her harm, and the officer shot her 4 times. I'm thinking of,
And then pause right there. I think
yeah,
that to me is like
yeah, she called the
another
police for help.
question
Mhm.
of, were you really trying to disarm and de-escalate the
No.
situation when you shot him 3 times?
They were trying to put him down. They were trying to put him down like a wolf that was coming to attack a village.
Yeah.
They didn't care anything about this child's life. They just saw a monster, they just saw a beast. But I keep running it. The thing that bothers me is I keep running into videos where officers were in worse situations. They were in
Mm-hmm.
worse situations. Their lives were in more danger, and they still managed to arrest the person who was putting them in danger.
I mean, I think there's no greater display of white privilege than January 6th. That was a literal federal building. Do you know how, I mean, you know, but yeah, I just for the sake of saying,
Mm-hmm.
you know how
Mm-hmm.
well protected and guarded federal buildings
Allegedly,
are?
because
And
we
not
saw,
right, and this isn't like a museum. This is
yeah,
the Capitol.
where those who are we voted
United
in,
States
yeah,
Capitol. Not
yeah,
the
yeah.
capital of South Carolina.
No, the
This is,
United States Capitol, and y'all were so relaxed about white supremacy,
and there was no gun violence by the hands of the police anyway.
so relaxed and casual about this thing. Meanwhile, few months prior, in the summertime of 2020, they had officers, or maybe even early fall, they had officers in, like, they looked like they were going to war
Oh,
surrounding
I
the Capitol
remember.
buildings. And the marches were nowhere near those buildings. They were nowhere
I
near those buildings. And it's like,
remember going to a protest in Michigan, and someone I knew at the time got tear gassed. And mind you, this was so peaceful. And here's the thing, I reject the notion of the fact that our protest has to be peaceful, because at this point, burn it all down, show up like the French do. Um, I reject the idea that we have to show up docile and sweet all of the time, and that our rage cannot explode. Like, I am rejecting that. I am rejecting the respectability politics of it all, because no one listens. And I'm not saying that there's not a place, there's very much a place for peaceful protest and marching and all that, but I am no longer here to judge those that choose to show up differently. That's not for me per se, but I am no longer here to judge those who are trying to find a place to put their rage.
no.
And in those protests that I went to, the only violence and chaos that occurred was from a anti-protester trying to drive into the crowd.
Yeah.
But somehow the protesters were the ones tear gassed and arrested and all of those.
Of course, because we're the threats, we're the danger, because we are affirming our lives and our lives' values, and that's threatening to a supremacist system that says otherwise. You got to think about what this stuff was built upon. That's why you can look at a 15-year-old child, an autistic child, in the middle of crisis and not think, my God, what is this baby going through? What's happening in this baby's head?
Right, he needs help.
He needs help. He doesn't need a bullet. He needs help. It's the same thing that I saw. I know we're bouncing around a lot, guys. I'm sorry, but it's just
no,
these
we're
observations.
Not sorry. I'm taking that.
I'm trying to stay focused, child. It's a touch of the ADHD, but
I feel you.
Do you remember the soldier? Oh my gosh, please help me. What is his name? Why is my brain going like this?
Tell me the story and maybe I can.
The soldier who recently set himself on fire.
Aaron
Bushnell.
Bushnell.
Thank you. Mr. Bushnell. Do you remember? I didn't watch the video. I know me. I know my capabilities.
I didn't. And I need to stop doing that to myself.
Yes.
I need to put up boundaries. Because I watch things even with like the Palestinian genocide. I don't do it as much now, but I watched every single video because I felt guilt for surviving, and I feel guilt for not being in that situation. But me as a Black person, I need to take that guilt off. And hand it over to the people who said that they're supposed to be showing up as allies and showing
that's
up.
Not ours to carry. The burden of the hatred of the burden of hatred of anti-Blackness is already heavy enough for us to carry. It is not our job to then constantly carry these other things. Like, I was in a conversation with a woman, and she was a white woman. She was saying that, we have to watch these things because we have to bear witness. And I'm like, bear witness to what? My DNA bears witness. The epigenetics in my DNA code bears witness. Like, my grandmother who lived through civil rights was carrying my mother who was carrying me. Like, who was carrying my daughter. Like, it's a cycle. Like, all this stuff is coded in us already. Black people don't need to bear witness anymore because we've witnessed enough. We were the originators of Stay Woke. And to be honest, right now, being in this body, having all that epigenetic wisdom and knowledge and watching all these things unfold, I gotta be honest, it's exhausting. But I remember what I was saying about Aaron Bushnell. As he was falling to the ground and people went to go help him, there was an officer who, and I made a video about this, and TikTok took it down and fuck them. But
oh my God.
I made a video about this. And I didn't show any weapons, and I didn't say anything. But I said there was one officer who kept his gun. I didn't even say gun. I said something else.
Yeah.
Who kept his weapon on Aaron as the man was on fire. A Black officer came up and said, I don't need guns. I need extinguishers.
Fire extinguisher. Yeah.
And I'm like, that is, if there's nothing more clear of where we find ourselves in just humanity right now, that frames it beautifully, because you have marginalized people going to the aid of people who are in dire need, and we are viewed as a threat. The people who are in dire need are viewed as a threat.
Yeah.
Like, I need people to ingest that Ryan needed help. He needed help. And it's deplorable that even when we cry out for help, we're met with violence time and time again. How many times have we heard about Black people Make sure you fuel up your cars. Check your tires. Do not call the police for help. Do not call the police for help. We are constantly told that they are not here to help us, so don't call them for help. Because every single time, not every single time, let me not say that. That's not cool.
But so many
times.
Yeah.
Too many times we have called for help and ended up on the end of a police officer's bullet.
And I'm like, right when you brought that up, it gave me a reminder when you said, you know, our parents, our community, we keep us safe, and we do remind each other all the time, like, you know, make sure you have what you need, make sure you don't stop, especially when it's at night. And it reminded me of a story, which is a perfect example of how racism shows up in ways that cause us harm and PTSD, even when it's not physically showing up. So when my husband and I were moving from Houston to Michigan, we drove, and we were driving through, you know, we got through pretty far, and we were driving through Illinois, like middle of nowhere Illinois. It was nowhere like close to like a city or Chicago or anything. It was just like middle of nowhere. And the tire popped. So it's nighttime, tire popped.
Jesus.
We were driving two separate cars because we had two cars.
Yeah.
So I hop in the car with him, and we try to find like a whatever's open because it's nighttime, like I said. And we somehow find like a place to get a tire. We come back, and there's a police officer looking at the car. You know, he sees an abandoned car.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And in the car, you know, it has like TVs and stuff. Like, you know, we're moving. Like, it has
yeah, you're moving. Stuff. Yeah.
And he's looking at a flashlight in the car. And my sweet, trusting husband, and I'm going to try not to like get emotional, but like, you know,
it's an emotional thing.
He goes to, he parks like a little bit in front of the car.
So he could see.
Yeah. And then he goes to just open the door. And I remember jumping across his lap and shutting the door and saying, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Oh, I was just going to go tell him it's your car." He said, "Absolutely not. What if he shoots you?" That was just my first thing that I thought of. And my husband's looking at me like, cause I'm shaking. Like I like instantly like full PTSD. And this was after I had gone through, like, I feel like this will probably be a story we share on the Patreon, but I went through a very deep, dark, almost didn't come out of it place after Philander Castile because I accidentally clicked onto the live.
Oh no!
It was on Facebook, and this is why I'm so, and this was before, you know, they show the screens now where they're like old graphic images. This was just back, you know, back in 2016.
Yeah.
And somebody shared a live, and I clicked on it, and it was just his body slumped over the steering wheel, and his eyes were just staring at me, and his girlfriend was in the seat screaming. And I never got that out of my head. And it took me to the deepest, darkest place. Because in my mind, I had watched, this was the first time that I said, when I was 26, I said, there's no way anybody will dispute his humanity. Like, he did everything right. Right? And we shouldn't have to do everything right. But
we shouldn't,
in my mind, I'm like, he did everything right. Like, he followed all the respectability politics. And he still died. So at that point, it was just like, there's nothing else we can do, right? So I went really deep into depression about that. So anyway, back to the car. And my husband's looking at me, and he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like shaking, I'm crying. I'm like, just let me handle it. Like, you're a Black male. Just let me do it. Let me do it. And he's like, "Shivaun, like, calm down." So I wind down the window, and I'm like, officer. And he comes up to the window, and he's like, "Is this your car?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I tell him the whole situation. He was really nice. Okay. So it ended up, there's no bad ending to the story, but he's like, "Do you want me to help you put the tire on?" And my husband's like, "Oh, sure." He's just my husband is just so kind-hearted, right?
Mm-hmm.
To a fault sometimes. And to a fault because of the world, not because of him.
Yeah.
And so then he goes, okay, go ahead and get the tire. My husband lifts up the trunk. I slam the trunk down and I scream, what are you doing? And the cop like looks at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, officer, we need to open the trunk now. Do we have your permission to open the trunk? And the officer's looking at me like, yeah, go ahead. But he then knew that I was nervous. And I think obviously like a lot of news was going around about police brutality. So he probably knew, like, you know, thank God we ran into a kind officer, but
thank God.
All of my humanity was stripped from me as I'm standing in front of this man, and I felt like I had to shuck and jive for massa, right? Like, am I allowed to do this? Can I open the car? All of my blackness and my humanity was just stripped from me because all I wanted was
to survive,
to just be safe.
Yeah.
And this was just a simple tire changing incident. So he changes the tire, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I'm like above and beyond with pleasantries, and thank you so much. Yes, sir. No, sir. And when I got in the car, I just I wanted to throw up, because in that moment, like, I felt like we were back in like Jim Crow or even chattel slavery, where this is the person I have to appease, and I have to make sure that I'm not a threat, so that me and my family can go home safe if he decides. And, you know, that's something I've never forgotten. And I think white people forget how much racism manifests itself in the physical in our bodies.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. That was, thank you. Thank you for giving us that, because that's the real. That's the real. That's what we deal with every single day. To bring up something I was talking about online, there was a lady who, I made a video about the cookout, right? I promise I'm gonna tie it all back in. Made a video about the cookout, talking
Is this
about
we gotta stop inviting everybody to the cookout?
I was asking, all I asked was, it's always me asking questions.
You be asking questions. Every time you ask a question, I say, oh, Lord.
They don't like my questions, but I be asking them. I am a journalist by trade. It's my job to ask questions. All I asked was, I said, there was a time where we couldn't even eat vanilla ice cream. Except for one time a year. You know me, I don't just be saying shit. I always have receipts.
You always have receipts.
I always will bring you a receipt or a first-hand account. That is my job. I'm not just pulling stuff out of my butt like half these people. And a lady said, are your arms tired from carrying that grudge? And I said, there is a place, because this is, I promise I'm gonna tie it all together.
No,
I promise I am.
Even
because I'm getting ready to stitch a quilt. I'm getting ready to stitch a quilt for you. Because there was another video of a lady who asked, and I know what this does. This was like, I need black rage in order to get my numbers up. But she asked, she said, are there just black people that just don't like white people? And I'm like, let me stitch it all together for you. You have people born now who are brought to tears, brought to anger, brought to a rage, because we have witnessed year after year after year. I'm talking children, elderly people, men, women, theys and thems, violently dealt with. And it's not just from the police, it's from the entire system. So I'm not just thinking about Philando Castile. I'm also thinking of mothers, black mothers who die giving birth. Yeah. I'm thinking of Ryan, you know, I'm thinking of Trayvon Martin. I'm thinking of Sandra Bland. I'm thinking of Breonna Taylor, but I'm also thinking of Ayanna Stanley, who was sleeping on her grandmother's couch when police officers raided the wrong damn apartment and threw a grenade through her window and set that baby on fire. I'm thinking of so many things like that we've witnessed in our lifetimes.
Yeah, that's just our lifetime.
That's just us.
And not even our lifetime. That's just our adult lifetime.
Our adult lifetimes. I'm thinking of that. And then I talk to my mama. And you're talking about carrying a grudge when you never even considered how it feels to live in this body and deal with trying to survive, y'all. Like, you've never even considered it. And then you have, I don't know what kind of audacity or what kind of foolishness it is to then say, are there black people that just don't like white people? Girl, read the freaking room. Read the room. And it's not a black people, white people, like, because they try to reduce it to, oh, you're carrying grudges, oh, you're holding. There's a system that is set up for our destruction, and we keep telling you this. And rather than be, fuck ally, be an advocate. Rather than being an advocate, because allies tell you in the bathroom, I stand with you after you've been the one to say the hard shit in the meeting. Okay? An advocate would say, you know what? Whitney, Shivaun, I got this. Timothy, let me tell you what's the problem. I don't know why Timothy, I'm sorry. But you shout out to Timothy.
Billy Bob for me, so
whoever Timothy is,
we'll allow
shout out to Timothy. I'm sorry.
We'll allow it.
Poor Timothy caught a stray. I'm sorry.
I do know some black Timothys, though.
I have a cousin named Timothy. And I do know a white Timothy, and he's the nicest person. Shout out to Timothy. Goes by Tim. I don't know where Timothy came from, but sorry, you should have caught a stray.
Listen,
but you get the point.
The ancestors sent it down in your spirit. They knew
it's Timothy that's causing bullshit out there. Yes. So fuck that you, particular Timothy, you are. That particular Timothy, fuck you. But everybody else, I'm sorry, but you get the point. See, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh. That's how we survived. That's how we survive our laughter. I think
people forget. They're like, black people are so funny, right? Everything, and this is why everything. They're like, everything is white supremacy. White. It is.
It is.
It is.
It is.
The reason black people are so funny and find ways to joke about every situation is because literally, from the, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, if we did not find a way to find humor, it would kill us.
We would die.
We would die.
We would just die.
If we let only our rage manifest, every single news article, every single racist account, every single racist tweet, comment on Instagram, what have you, we would all
die,
pass away.
We would die. We would absolutely just crumble. But I want to hold space for both laughter and joy and rage. Like, I want to hold space. I want to hold range, because all of those can and do exist in the same bodies, and all of those are expressions of humanity. Like, there is no hearing folks who their loved one was taken in such a way. You can hear it, and maybe it's just like an ancestral thing. Maybe it's a black woman thing. Maybe it's an empath thing. I can't describe it, but it's something. I'm going to describe this. It's going to sound crazy, but whoever gets it,
coming from someone who has very weird accounts that my husband finds it weird, and I have now come to learn that it's just like a spiritual gift of people just like laying out their heart to me, random strangers.
I mean, you're easy to talk to,
but I won't even start a conversation. I was in Target one time, and a lady came up to me, and I simply was just like, oh, do you need this or something? She dropped something. Oh, do you need this? And then she just started crying about her and her son's estranged relationship.
Oh,
and like, that's not even half of the account. So it's not going to sound weird to me.
Okay. I appreciate you. See, you always get me.
I see you.
It's when you hear them, it sounds like it's something in the back of the throat. It's like the things left unsaid. It's like the grief of not just the life that was lost, but the life that should have been. And we have to let that go. It's the tears that are being swallowed while the other tears fall. It's that
lump in your throat.
But it's behind that one.
If that truly goes away.
Exactly. It's like, it's behind that, because everyone can understand that lump because we've all felt it. But there's something particular about your loved one being snatched from you in such a way. It's such an it's the injustice. And it's like behind that lump, there's something else there. And that exists in the same body that the joy of holding your baby the first time, or grandmother's hands as she prays for you, or doing the electric slide with your friends.
The swag,
After
or the swag for this generation, the swag surf. Think
the
about at a
swag
wedding
surf,
when
right?
everybody starts swag surfing. A
I have
black
a video
wedding.
of us. I have a video of us doing the swag surf. It is my favorite video from our wedding, because it's like most of my friends, all these people I love and cherish, and we're all just arms around each other's shoulders in fancy clothes, looking as fine as frog hair, just swagging and surfing. It all of that exists in our bodies, and I feel like you're right. You are right, Shivaun, because we dismiss the rage because we're so used to trying to make ourselves look like less of threats, that we dismiss it and we suppress it and we push it down. And I think what true freedom would look like is if we were allowed to truly express all of what we feel, and not be viewed as a threat. Because hell, white men get mad all the time.
And when they get mad, they do. I mean, they get mad, and people get shot up in crowds. They get angry, and
they're allowed to get mad, though. They're still allowed to get mad. But my black anger is somehow viewed as a weapon.
Yeah.
And then you're weaponizing me. I'm viewed as a threat instead of you thinking that you
or that becomes
are
your
looking at me as a
character.
threat.
Now you're just an angry black woman. Now I'm who I am in front of black woman is that one feeling that you didn't like that I expressed.
Right.
So it's just an angry black woman.
Instead of looking at what I'm angry about. Like, because what I'm angry about has legitimacy. Like, why? I asked this a few weeks ago. Why aren't you angry? You see all this injustice. Hell, you see all these wages not going up. You see them criminalizing homelessness. You see these healthcare bills.
But you know why they're not angry? Because they're protected by their privilege.
It's got to be.
They know no matter what happens, they will still be protected, right? So the wages go up, right? They're still protected as they are valued in the wage gap. The crime rate goes up. They're still, I mean, not even the crime, the discrimination in policing goes up. They're still protected because they're not who the police are looking for.
They never are.
Politicians are crooked and acting a fool. They're still protected because the policies and procedures and everything that the government was founded on was meant to protect them. So what would I have to be angry about?
What do I have to be angry
about? If I haven't invested in the fight for liberation of people who don't look like me, what do I have to be angry about?
Right.
I gotta pivot though. Let's talk some grievances. I need
that wasn't our grievance.
Well, maybe I have a confession then.
What is it? What's up?
I have a confession.
What's up, girl?
I know this is not popular in the black community.
Oh boy.
But I love coleslaw.
I like coleslaw.
Apparently it's not popular in our community.
Really?
Coleslaw, and I like my coleslaw with raisins in it.
You know, Shivaun,
I know.
I'm here to support you, and I thank you for your bravery at this
time. Just be here for me. I just need you to be here for me because I know.
Thank you for your bravery for announcing.
Please. I like
because
the raisins.
That took a lot of guts.
It did, especially with the raisins. I know.
It's the raisins.
I know, but to be fair, okay, when you go over to the Caribbean, that's how they eat their coleslaw. So that's how I grew up eating my coleslaw because my mom was born in St. Kitts, raised in St. Thomas. Yeah. So that's how we ate our coleslaw.
That's different.
But you know.
That's different. You didn't go to like the Wegmans. No.
I didn't go get like home, or I didn't go get Walmart pre-made
No.
coleslaw with the raisins. No, it's cultural. So I guess
it's different.
it's not that big of a confession.
You know what? Since you're being brave, I'll be brave too.
Oh no. Is this going to end our partnership?
I hope not, God. I hope not, Jesus.
Oh no.
Eat your grits the way you want to eat your grits.
I don't think I can get down with that. I can't. No. The sugar doesn't go in the grits. I'm so sorry.
I have people from Tennessee, right? And my people from Tennessee taught me how to eat grits.
Okay.
And we eat a sweet grit.
No.
Yes, we do.
I reject that.
I'm sorry, friend.
I'm
sorry, friend. Now, I do enjoy a savory grit. I am not above a savory grit. They're delicious. I will eat them. I'm raising my child to also enjoy savory. No,
this is the thing.
She likes sweet grits. Fuck her.
This is honestly like this is the thing. I don't know how I can trust you, and like relationships are based on trust. Like,
my gosh, we can't have a breakup. We just got together.
I know.
Shut up, Shivaun.
Then we post it publicly too.
Shut your mouth, Shivaun.
So somebody's listening to this, and matter of fact,
you're about to get another bad rating.
Oh my God! Yeah, let me just say that to the hater.
I gotta go on mute because I'm laughing too much.
To the hater, somebody newly reviewed our podcast. Obviously, we need. Okay, here's the thing too. This is another like a little plug. Y'all. In order for our podcast to be successful, or really any podcast or show, like ratings and reviews really matter. So if you're listening and you love it, please rate and review.
Tell the people. Tell them.
Yes, because that's the ones that have a lot of ratings and reviews. Those are the ones that Apple and Spotify and whatever other platforms are going to push. Okay. So with that being said, I monitor our reviews quite a bit and our ratings. I can see on Apple, like, who left what, whatever. But on Spotify, you can just see, like, the stars that it has. The
stars, yeah. You can't see
how
other
many.
stuff. Yeah.
So I looked and I was like, oh, we got a new review. And then we had 4.8 stars. We have 4.5. Meaning some Billy Bob Timothy Ash troll. Or Sister Susie. Probably Sister Susie, honestly. Or Sister Susie got on Beyonce's internet and went out of their way to leave us a bad review. And here's the thing, okay? Like, I'm not saying you have to listen to this podcast and 5 stars, right? Like, do honestly rate with your heart, but I don't think honest. Yeah. There's any part of the content that we put out that's 1 star.
No.
So that's yeah. So I have beef.
Oh no, that's a fair beef. I just think it's funny. No, when we get to talking a certain way, I'm like, see, look, they getting ready to come back.
But for real, like, you went out of your
out of your way. Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna keep this episode brief because it's been heavy enough.
Brief. I'm like, this is a whole ass episode.
I feel like it's briefer in comparison.
You know what?
Once we get to Kiki in.
Listen, I think we needed to get that out so we could get the Kiki. Because, as we sit at these kitchen tables and back porches and in our spaces that we sit, we talk about the real. This is what sisterhood looks like. Right. This is what Black women, being there for Black women, looks like. It's not we gloss over everything so we can like get to the smiles. Is that we deal deeply with the things. Like, we talk about it on in the intro of our show. We share, we shade, we cry, we laugh. That's what we do, and that's what we've been doing. About
stars to racism, as it says,
and raisins, and raisins,
sweet grits. Okay, since you want to come for me. Anyway,
I adore you. I adore you.
We love y'all. Me and Whitney are gonna go settle our beef offline. We love you guys. To our Patreon subscribers, shout out to y'all. But there could always be more. Okay. And the Patreon subscribers actually just got our divorce story, so shout out to them. But we love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.